The following podcast is a mass media production.
Hi, I'm Josh Galindo.
And I'm Krystal Galindo. Welcome to the Going Galindo Rugrats and Renovations podcast.
A lifestyle podcast where we will offer our experience and expertise in building real, lasting wealth through renovating and flipping homes.
And the chaos that comes with balancing a family of 6, leaving nothing unsaid.
Follow our wild ride we call life and apply our lessons to your own journey. Good morning, honey.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am good today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Why are you feeling so good?
I woke up late and that sucked, but I went to get the mail and I got my patches in the mail that I ordered to make my Golden Knights jacket.
Yeah?
Well, they came fast, so I was really excited about that. She threw in extra patches to be super sweet that were like puck cancer and hockey fights cancer, so that was really exciting.
That's awesome.
And then her cushion that was missing from the windstorm a week ago was also by the mailbox.
That's right. We got it back. That was awesome.
Yeah, because I'm like, how do you find another cushion to match the set? You can't.
Yeah, no.
So that was,
That
I was
was
like,
a
you know
win.
what? Today's supposed to be a good day.
Today is a good day. Tell me, let's give that girl a plug. Who is she?
Well, actually, I was just ordering patches off Etsy. I didn't know that I knew
Right,
her
you
from
didn't.
high school.
Yeah.
Her Etsy shop is Rocks in Rags, so Rocks and Rags. And I just wanted like a big patch, and she was the only one that made a big patch. And I was like, okay, I'll order from her. And then through the grapevine, she follows Brandy on Facebook.
Which is your sister.
Yeah, which is my sister. And she was like, your sister just ordered from me. And she put in like extra stuff.
What a treat.
I know.
Such a small world. It's
I know.
crazy.
I almost cried, but I didn't.
That's cool. Good. So now you're going to have the baddest Golden Knights jacket in
I'm
the
really
game.
excited. Now I feel like there's a lot of pressure to make it really cool.
Good for you. Good for you.
Okay, we're going to take a quick pause to shout out a few of our sponsors.
Hey guys, I know all of you have heard of Moon Valley Nurseries. Well, now is the best time to plant everything, and Moon Valley Nurseries has everything to plant. Right now, you can get 50% off plus free planting. Moon Valley Nurseries is the largest box tree grower in America, and they've brought in millions of dollars of inventory for this event. From their farms to your yard, nobody does it better. So stop in now for the biggest and best selection. For the best trees on earth, go straight to the moon. Head to moonvalleynurseries.com to learn more.
All right, we all know adulting is hard. You know what shouldn't be hard? Buying a house. Robert Coomer has helped us and our friends buy and refinance houses for the past 15 years. Every time we work with him, we know we're getting the best service possible and that the person on the other end of that phone call has a smile on their face. And that leaves a smile on ours. Call Robert Coomer. He does all the heavy lifting for you so you can worry about more important things like what kind of wine pairs with your leftover pizza. But seriously, give him and his team a call at 702-850-2000. You won't regret it.
So what we'll do today is we're going to talk about flipping a house start to finish.
Yes.
Oh, man. Today's a good day to do it because there's a lot of moving parts right now in real life that I'm struggling with in my personal business. So there's struggles all the time, every day. That was something that I was saying yesterday. One of my guys came in and he's like, why are you reading the newspaper? Not reading the news, but...
Why are you following?
Yeah, why are you following it? And I said to him, bro, there's more that goes into flipping than just buying a home,
right,
and fixing it up.
There's a lot of outside factors that
and especially
take
when
place.
you're dealing with the kind of money. If you think about it, we're a small REIT, we're a small stock, we're a small hedge fund. Like when you have $12, $13 million out, that's real life shit. Mm-hmm. Like you should be watching the news.
Yeah.
Like that's real.
Yeah.
So think about that. Let that one sink in.
Kind of relating it to if you leave money in your car, right?
Yeah.
You leave cash in your car, so you have cash in the market, whatever. Wherever you're parked, you're like, well, my car's unlocked. I got to make sure I watch my car because there's cash in there. Blah, blah, blah. Like you don't just let it go and let it sit and you don't worry about it. Like you have to take into account all the outside factors. Like if you're parked one place versus another place. Like, you got to watch your car a little bit more because there's cash in it.
I think that's a great analogy.
Oh, thank you.
I really do. Would you just leave $12 million in your car unlocked and not care about it and just let it see if it sits there?
No, you'd be taking into account all the outside factors, and you'd be watching it all.
You'd be watching it. You take into account the time of day, if there's the weather, location.
All those things.
Yeah, good analogy.
Thank you.
You know what I came up with today? I was speaking of analogies. Is the flipping game is like an ecosystem, and an ecosystem in a nutshell is like, imagine if you sucked all the salt out of the ocean, like it would fuck the whole ocean up.
Yeah.
Like everything would die. That depends on the salt. Let's say you sucked all the shrimp out of the ocean, you would kill anything that eats shrimp. The flipping game is an ecosystem that requires all of the parts that are involved to be lubricated and moving in sync and consistently. As soon as one component malfunctions, the whole thing shuts down.
Right.
And I don't think that that's quite understood when you are. The only time that you'll understand a lot of what we're about to get into today is if you're running a house flipping business. If you're just flipping a house, it's a little bit more of a dumbed down version of actually running a business where you've got 40 plus homes at any time that you're constantly touching and working on. So anyway, let's start with today's episode, what we're going to call it. We were flipping start to finish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you start with? The first and foremost is I would get your financing in place. And this one's debatable. Do you go and get financing first, or do you go and find the deal first? Well, here's what I can tell you is that if you're brand new and you're out there looking for financing first and you don't come up with it, because you have no credibility, so no one's going to give you any money first. If you find a spectacular deal first, it's a lot easier to get financing for it because you've got something that is worth buying. So first and foremost is determine how you're going to get your financing, whether that's getting the deal first or just getting it lined up first. So once you know how you're going to buy it, you get the property. How do you get the property? There's a ton of different ways to go and buy houses. And that's what I always tell people. And the other thing, too, is I'm just going to drop nuggets as they come into my mind. I'm not going to try to stay in some chronological order. The other thing is that house flipping will always be around as long as people live in homes, in my opinion.
Yeah, the style, it's always changing.
Trends are always changing. And then, so even if you take care of the home, the trends are changing, and then it becomes dated.
Yeah.
Now there's value. Now you have an opportunity to add value to that property because it's so dated. You can update it, and then you get rewarded for the work that you've put into it. So there's that scenario. And then the other big one is that someone's always fucking their house up, and I use that word on purpose. Always, someone's smoking in the house. Someone's drinking excessively in the house and ruining the house. Somebody's letting too many people live in the house.
They haven't wiped down their doors in 20 years.
A house is always being abused. Always. And then eventually it's got to get bought by somebody. So never get discouraged when you're out there looking for deals. There will always, always, always be a deal.
So how do you find the deal?
Is deals, the way that you can see a deal is you're looking for discrepancies. Discrepancies are a difference in price. So you're scrolling through a neighborhood and you see everything's selling for about $300. So you're obviously looking for something that is available at $220 to $250. And the reason that what I do is I write offers on homes where the seller has done most of the work for me. What does that mean? If the house is listed for $320 and it's worth $320, I have to do a ton of work to get them down to like $250.
Right, because they're starting off at $320.
They're starting off so high. I'm waiting for the seller that comes on the market when the house is worth $320 and they come on the market at $280.
Because that shows desperation.
Well,
motivation.
Many things. Maybe just they hired the wrong realtor that doesn't know how to comp a house. But for me, when I see that, it says that the seller has already done most of the work for me. Think about that. If it's worth $320 and they're listed at $280, they've already done $40,000 worth of negotiating work on my behalf. So now I'll go and all I got to do is hit them at $20,000, $25,000 less. And in their mind, they're like, well, I started at $280, leaving $20,000 on the table to get a cash offer, close quick, and no repairs and blah, blah, blah. There's value in that.
Yeah.
That has been like one of the biggest components of my success.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're sitting there feeling like, oh, my house is dated. Oh, my house needs a lot of repairs. And dealing with all that's a lot. They'd rather just give a price reduction.
So the other thing that can happen is that the housemate, it's quite crazy how the housing business works. There's been a home that they just hired the wrong realtor. Mm-hmm. They hired a realtor. It's a perfect example. I'll just tell you what it was. It was a house in Piccoli Ranch. They listed it for $275. It was worth $350. They had just painted it, just carpeted it, put brand new appliances in it. They listed it at, what did I say, $285? Mm-hmm. $285. And it came on. I knew it was a good price. I immediately walked the house. I walked inside. I'm like, all I have to do is paint the cabinets. So I immediately send them a cash offer at asking price. They accept because I've accomplished all of their goals.
Right.
And I literally painted the cabinets white and then put it back on the market and sold it for $350. So that's a perfect example that there's always opportunity, and it doesn't always have to be a distressed home.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a beat-up home. The flipping game is always perceived to, you have to be buying a fixer-upper. You know how many homes I've bought that I just had to paint and carpet and then give back to the market?
Right.
It doesn't always have to be that way, where the formula is in the numbers. And that's what I'm saying, because sometimes people will bang on a home that's overpriced, but because it looks like a fixer-upper, they spend all this time on it. Well, instead of spending all this time on a fixer-upper that's overpriced, why don't you go find the one that's not a fixer-upper and the price is lower?
Right.
Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the condition of the home. It really doesn't. Flipping is not necessarily about the home. It's about what you bought the home for and what you can sell it for.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
because sometimes the sellers, there's more value instead of getting more money, is getting their money out faster. Mm-hmm. And that's where you also help.
Yeah, that's definitely the. But I have guys in the office that started flipping just using conventional financing. He'd put one in his name, then he would put one in his wife's name, then he'd put one in his in-laws' name, and just figured out how to do it that way. Mm-hmm. That was kind of cool to watch him figure out how to do it like that.
All right, so after they find the deal and they buy it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all complicated, but that's all very situational per deal.
It's very situational. Good word.
What would you say the first thing you have to do is? And
well,
when?
Let me say this, because everybody's going to say, well, how did you find it? Because that's always everybody's big hang-up. How do you find the deal?
You have to work for it.
You got to work for it, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lack of that desire nowadays. So unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to go to work and work for it. I know TikTok says if you follow these 3 simple steps, you don't have to use your money, no risk, and work part-time, but none of that's fucking real.
Yeah, no.
So there's a few different ways. You've got the Clark County trustee sale. Mm-hmm. You can go down there and you can buy foreclosures. That's just homes that are getting foreclosed on. You can go to a sheriff's sale and buy homes that way. That's homes that, for whatever reason, the sheriff's department has confiscated, I guess.
Yeah.
You can go there. You can go to the bankruptcy sale. People that go to bankruptcy, they got to dispose of the assets. You could buy there. Bankruptcy court. Probate. You could buy homes through probate court. People pass away. They don't have wills. The state has to figure out what to do with this piece of property. Mm-hmm. They got to give it to somebody. So probate court. The MLS. Go on the MLS and search and look for homes there. And then off market. Driving around neighborhoods looking for homes that have overgrown weeds. Going
up to the door.
Boarded up windows. Roofs that are peeling off. The big one that I've found a lot of success with in that is looking for empty pools. Mm-hmm. Just scanning over the valley with an aerial map, looking for homes that have empty pools. They have a pool in their backyard and it's empty. There's probably a good chance that person's ready to move on from that house.
In all reality, they really could reach out to you, too. They could find a realtor, but you know what you're looking for and you know how to find a deal. So if they were to use you as a realtor, you could get them a good deal. Yeah,
there's been many times, actually, where kind of a mom-and-pop investor who's got a full-time gig doing something else comes to me and says, hey, I just want to buy a house. And I'll literally build them a blueprint. I'll be like, here's your purchase price. You can't spend any more than this on your renovation. And if you sell for this, you'll make
This, yeah.
And then I'll literally build 3 different scenarios. If you spend this much, you'll make this much. If you list it for this much and get this much, you'll make this much. And literally all they have to do is just follow that.
Right.
So, yeah, you can contact me too and ask me to find you a deal.
Yeah.
And I can do that. So, and then wholesalers will be the last one. And, those guys tie up property and then assign the rights to their contract to you. So those are all ways to go find deals. So now I've beaten that horse. So no one can say, I don't know how to go find a deal. That was a lot of avenues on how to find one. Okay. So if you have more questions on that, then reach out to me on the side and maybe we'll talk about that separately. Hey guys, if you're looking for some family fun, I know I always am, check out CIRCUS Hotel and Casino. At CIRCUS, there is something for everyone. Have a blast inside the Adventure Dome, a 5-acre indoor theme park with 25 rides, or act like a kid again at the Midway playing arcade games or enjoying their daily free circus acts. Looking for a special date night? Look no further than their award-winning restaurant called The Steakhouse. Voted best steakhouse in Las Vegas, CIRCUS offers affordable room rates starting at $25 per night. Book your stay today at circuscircus.com. Okay, next thing.
So once you buy the house, you close on it.
Yep.
Okay, how soon do you walk the property? 5 minutes after it closes?
So I walk all of the properties before I close them. I actually walk the property the day that I tie it up.
Tie it up means
the day that I put it under contract and control the property, I go walk it. I ensure that I'm ready, willing, and able to buy it. Once I do that, then we get ready to close it, and then right before we close it, we go and walk it one more time. And the reason that we do that is to make sure that it's not burnt down,
right?
That there's not squatters living in it. I've had a home, I had looked at it 3 times, he and Han, whether I was going to buy it through my closing time period. And the day before we closed it, I go drive it, and I walked in, and literally there was like 12 people that were jumping out of windows and running out the back door, and they had to, and then I couldn't get it. As soon as I left, they all went back inside. I couldn't get rid of them.
Right.
Literally, I could not scare them away. I couldn't, it was bad. So I had to cancel that property. But thankfully, I drove it. Otherwise, that would have been my problem long term.
Right, and that's an expensive problem.
So I drive them that many times, and then, or I have somebody on my team drive them that many times. So then the last thing is that we close it, and then we go and we drive one more time with the contractor. Now, let's talk about the contractor side. First of all, there's a few components that I think will help you sell the house quickly. Is people always ask, why do I go so high on design? Why do I go so high on quality? Because there was once a time when the market didn't just buy everything that existed. And I believe in staying in good habits. I don't get lazy just because the market's, spoiling me. So, and I don't want my team to learn lazy habits because they will be around when the market doesn't spoil you.
Right. Well, this isn't like that off base, but I was going to say there's reputation. So you want to have a good reputation. Do you really want to be known as the flipper that sells the house that falls apart a month later? No, especially when, just the other day, we go to DW Bistro, and someone's like, I bought one of your flips. I still live in it, and I love it. Could you imagine if it wasn't? Yeah. Could you imagine if it was, like, a flip that you didn't care about, and you just, pieced it together with tape?
Right.
And you ran into him then?
Yeah.
How would that go?
And then what about when I just went to go buy the Can-Am?
Right.
I'm sitting next to the guy that's selling me the thing.
Yeah.
And we're negotiating. I use the ability that I can find houses, and I pull out my Instagram. He goes, oh, my gosh, that's your kitchens? And I go, yeah. He goes, I think I bought one of your houses. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah.
How awkward would that be if it was just a shitty home that I threw together that he ended up buying? Yeah, but here's the thing is nobody remembers you if you build a shitty flip. So you may, when you said you'll have a reputation for building a shitty flip, you just won't have a reputation. They'll just forget about it.
You think?
Well, you won't do anything special. You're not special. You're just.
I could tell you the stubborn in me would remember who they are, and I would make sure.
Well, and then there's, if you were to go into high volume, there's a handful of guys here that are doing 300 to 500 homes a year. Those guys, and then they have shitty quality. Well, their reputation isn't necessarily the shitty quality. Their reputation is that they're redundant and they're consistently in the market. The guys that are small and have shitty homes, nobody remembers them. So that's okay, because if your game is to come into the market and make a few bucks and move on, then no one's here to hate on you for that. And you don't care about reputation or building a brand. That wasn't me. I always say that Galindo Group Real Estate's not the biggest flipper in town by any stretch, but there's a reason that people know who we are. And it's because we do quality work and I build relationships with each agent that I work with. I try to make them happy and make their buyers happy. So let's go back to quality for me. I'm a big believer in quality. One, it's an insurance policy. When you build a quality product, it lasts. If you build a shitty quality, it doesn't last. When it does eventually fail, now you're on the hook for that. Now you better hope that you've used a licensed and insured contractor in the event they come back to you and try to, pin you to the wall. And if they do win and they're successful in their complaint, that could cost you $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So you're trying to save $2,500 on a house, and you're leaving yourself out there to be exposed with tens of thousands of dollars. So for me, I'm not a believer in that. I want peace of mind. I'll pay a premium for peace of mind. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm leaving profit on the table, aka paying for peace of mind. So I do my absolute very best to always deliver a quality product. And then the other thing is that when you do a high design product, if the house ever sits, because again, like I was getting into, but I kind of got distracted. If the house ever sits, which there was a time where homes sit, they don't go in 3 days. They go in 3 weeks, 6 months, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe a month, 2 months, or something like that. I want to be able to put my head down at night thinking about that home and say to myself, I've done every single thing I can do to have that house sell. I don't want to lay my head down and go, I knew it.
I should have done this.
I should have changed the flooring. Yep. Dang it. I knew I should have put grass in the corner.
Right.
Could you imagine if you got 15 or 20 of these homes going and that's and then they're not moving? And that, it'd be a mental mess.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Why didn't I do it? When I lay down at night, I know I did every single thing that I could have done. So for me, that's a big part of quality. So now we're still in the construction phase. Licensed and insured contractors. I'm a big proponent of that. That's one. 2, high design. And high design is an insurance policy in the form of selling the home quicker. You may not get more money, but you might. But you may not. But you definitely will sell faster than the competition.
Which saves you money.
Good job. So high design, quality, and then now how do you do all this?
Well, back to the contractor really quick. I think that if it is one of your first flips, you should get 3 bids. Like, you don't have to do that necessarily anymore because you kind of know all your contractors and their pricing and what they can take on and what they can't. But, like, your first couple flips, you have to get 3 different bids.
Yep, 3 different bids. And if the contractor wants to work with you bad enough, they'll work with you on how they want to structure the payment.
Right.
Because that's where you can get stung. It's easy to think the market's going to correct or it'll slow down or whatever it's going to do, and that's how you can lose money. Well, think if you had 10 flips going and you shelled out $15,000 on 10 flips, which means you shelled out $150,000, and your contractor's only done 10% of the work that he said that he was going to do. And now you're out, whatever that is, 90% of $150,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
So always stay ahead of your contractor. Always stay ahead of your contractor. And what does that stay ahead mean? If he's done $15,000 worth of work, you've only paid him for 10. What's not ahead means that you've paid him for $15,000 worth of work and he's only done 10.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Always stay ahead of your contractor.
And if he's a legit contractor, then he has the capital to do that.
Absolutely.
Because that's the game.
That's the game. Yep. Just like I have to have capital to pay my employees and wait until I get paid.
Yes.
I got to be in the game.
Exactly.
That's the rules of the game.
Yeah.
So stay ahead of your contractor. The other thing that I do, little tricks here and there, is I put up fake cameras because you can get robbed. You can have appliances. You know, if I get into a neighborhood where...
Well, we have real and fake.
Yeah, we have real and fake. Sorry, I was actually thinking for the person just starting. The real cameras are like $400 and like $40 a month or whatever they are. So it may be a tall order for somebody to go and buy 10 of those.
Yeah.
But we do. We have probably 8 to 10 of those real cameras that run on battery and cell tower. So they don't need Wi-Fi. Huge. But we have those in all of the homes, and we're trying to prevent theft.
Yeah.
You know, I can't tell how many times I walk in and my appliances have been stolen. And the worst part about the appliances being stolen is never the appliances. It's the savage approach in which they stole the appliances.
The destruct.
They drag it across my brand new flooring, scratching every plank on the way to the garage. They blow off the casing in the garage because they're trying to get out of there like wild animals. They drove their truck on my brand new epoxy garage floor so they could throw them into the back in the garage. You know, I mean, these guys are they're wild animals. So the other thing that would prevent a lot of that is having your guys drive the homes consistently. You know, if
people see activity there, they'll be deterred from it.
Yeah. Another thing that may be a nice trick is I think at one point, a lot of the theft was coming from someone that was an agent. That was a licensed realtor. And what they would do is they'd visit the home, crack a window, wait a week or week and a half so that more agents would go in and check in on the lockbox. Now they would just be blended in with all the others. And then they would go back and go in through the window because if the 50, I'm going to say I've been robbed probably 50 to 70 times. If let's just call it 60 times. If of the 60 times, I think I've seen forced entry probably 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. I don't know. Not very many. Most of the time, it's like they just walked in. Yeah, so I always thought it was a realtor. But the
realtor or someone for the contractor too, a vendor.
Yeah. So that's the other thing is change your mechanical lockbox code after the renovation is complete, because the contractor may fire one of the guys, and now they're going to retaliate against the contractor, or they don't have work or whatever it is, and they know that they've got 10 homes they can go into and steal all the appliances out of. So change the mechanical lockbox code on the MLS. Change the showing status to owner occupied. I think when it says vacant, because you can just scrub the town with
vacant listings,
and you get 300, 3,000, however many are under contract at that time, and they just go pick whichever ones they want to go and hit.
Right.
You know, they don't go look at the photos. You know.
Right, and they're not going to search owner occupied.
No, why would you search owner occupied? Exactly. So that's a nice little trick too to keep from getting robbed. The other trick that I've done, unfortunately, the robber had left us, so they didn't take us up on it. But it was a house that we had downtown. The AC unit, the HVAC unit, was on the roof, and They went up there and they steal like $40 worth of copper, but like cause like $3,000 worth of damage on the unit. So we repaired the unit, and then they came back and they did it again. And so now at that point, the unit was so destroyed that we had to buy a new unit. So we bought a new unit, and we taped $100 bill to it and put a note next to it and said, "Please just take the $100." Because the $100 is less than the freaking...
Yeah, I feel like I remember this.
Yeah, it was on... It was downtown. It was Paradise Palms.
Oh, okay.
Anyway...
Did they ever take the $100?
No, that was the worst part. They never came back, so they never took the $100. But... that's a little trick too, you know. The other thing too, when you have cameras, there's one thing to have cameras, there's another thing to have cameras and have a note in the picture, and then make the note look real. Like my note says, "Hey, smile, you're on camera." The second that my camera sensed motion, it took 6 photos of you and sent it to my phone. It's like, whoa, wait, is that real? Like, fuck this, you know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of want to scare them off. So my point in saying all this is that there's another factor that's not considered in house flipping, and that's theft.
Yeah, you got to protect yourself.
So you got to protect the property. The other thing is maintaining the property. You know, pools need to be maintained. A pool will turn green in like 4 days in the middle of summer. Like, it'll be bright blue and beautiful. If the pump turns off or the water level gets low and there's no chemicals, you've got a green swamp. Not a big deal, right? Well, what if you got to drain it? What does it cost to drain it? $150. What does it cost to clean it? $150. What does it cost to refill it in water? $350.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just paid a couple of those.
All right. Letting your pool get ruined can cost you $700 on your flip. Mm-hmm. Okay? So maintenance. The other thing is insurance. Don't go get regular insurance and lie to your insurance lady that it's a occupied home because you're trying to save $34 a month.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tell them
this
is a vacant flip with the intent to be resold. Mm-hmm. Because if you get stung, they'll deny your claim. I've never had that happen, but I didn't play that game when I had that decision, which I did. Because I was like, maybe I could just be cheap and do it this way.
No, because they'll know. They'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Hey, honey, do you know what time it is?
I mean, I think I do.
It's time to shout out sponsor Southwest Custom Construction and tell everyone how great they are.
Oh, okay. That's easy. Nick is our go-to contractor. There's a reason he's done more than $75 million in construction renovations. He does quality work, he's dependable, and he can help you with just about anything. Is there anything you would add?
Nick's a great guy. I think he covered what matters most. Give Nick at Southwest Custom Construction a call if you need a contractor you can count on. His number is 480-235-8148. Okay, where else am I at?
Well, so I was going to say go back to the contractor. So when you walk the property with the contractor and you guys discuss, like, go back and forth, whatever, you have to approve your bids, right? So you go through the bids, you approve it. I think the biggest thing is that you have to set a timeline of expectations. Do you do that, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I wish I could do that. I wish there was a timeline. I wish I could set a timeline. I've worked with the best contractors in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. The best. I'll give you an example. Nick Marietta. Mm-hmm. Guy's a fucking rock star. Guy's one of the smartest contractors I know. I wouldn't even say one of. I think he's the smartest contractor I've ever experienced in my flipping career. Even Nick is unable to nail down a final
day.
I think there's too many variables on his end for him to be able to do that. Here's what I believe with construction. Mm-hmm. There's probably 10 or 15 guys in Las Vegas, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, that entertain this type of work, that entertain fix and flip work. And the reason is because it's a low margin, high volume, high stress game. Like it's brutal type contracting.
Yeah.
So if you push these guys too hard, they'll probably tap out on you. They're not gonna. They'll just it's just too much for them. They'll move on. So it's a real big game of finesse. How do you build a relationship with these guys so that they're invested in your success? Mm-hmm. For me, with my contractors, I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, want and hope that they succeed. Mm-hmm. I genuinely want them to succeed. I want them to make as much money as they possibly can, as long as they're leaving room for me to make money. Mm-hmm. So I try to make sure that they know that. Mm-hmm. If they know that, hopefully they will then care about me and my success. And then that is my leverage. Okay, it's rare that I go off the handle, but I do, and I'm not afraid to. It's not fun. It's not something I get off on. It's not comfortable. But if it comes down to my business succeeding and hurting my contractors' feelings, obviously I've got to choose my business succeeding. Mm-hmm. So it's a finesse game. It's all finesse. I have never been able to get a contractor to tell me that he'll be done on this date and be done on that date.
No.
So.
But do you have like expectations that you set?
Yes.
Okay.
So regular flip is 4 to 5 weeks. Maybe if it's going long, I believe it's 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. If it's a big flip, you're 5 to 6 to 7 weeks. Mm-hmm. If it's a really big job, it's probably a 2 to 3 month job.
Okay.
So I have timelines, and a lot of my business is experience based.
Right.
You know, which I love.
Yeah.
It's a bragging right because it's like no one fucking showed me how to do this.
Right.
I had to earn it. I had to learn it. I had to learn all the mistakes. I had to write the check for the mistakes that I made, and I have the scars to show. You know, and because of that, now I'm able to navigate, the game efficiently.
I know. I feel like your beard turned white in hell.
I know. I'm 36 years old. I'm fucking bald and I got a white beard.
It's okay. I like it.
Yeah, it's okay. It was all worth it.
Okay,
now,
so
somebody asked me that. He goes, "Man, you got gray." I go, "You try flipping 100 homes in a year and don't go gray." Yeah,
it's true. Okay, so the contractor, you set kind of expectations, just what it is. That you can't always be met.
but you can't be passive and you can't be too aggressive. It's called finesse, and you have to have it, or you're going to either lose your contractor or you're going to get bulldozed.
Okay, after that.
Okay, so contractor. So now they start. Now you got payments.
Yep.
Like I was saying, I think you stay ahead of your contractor, and you guys establish a payment structure throughout the process. At paint, you're going to get this much. At framing, you're going to get this much. At blue tape and walking it, at the end, you're going to get this much, and then you got final payment. Whatever that looks like, negotiate it out. Just make sure you're ahead of the contractor. The other thing is that it's very important to walk the property consistently. So either provide the contractor, which is what we've graduated to because it just got too much.
Yeah.
Graduate to providing renderings and a material sheet because your contractor's vision of what you've described to them and your vision of what you've described to them could be completely different. And then you show up, and at that point, it's too expensive to reverse it. So it's important to constantly be showing. I'm talking as an amateur here. It's important to constantly be, and even as an expert, we show up to these properties all the time to ensure that our design is being implemented the way that we had envisioned it. And that's the reason. You show up to make sure the design is coming together the way that you envisioned it, not the way your contractor heard you describe it, the way that I actually want it to go together. And when you show up early, it gives you time to fix it.
Right.
That's the thing, is if you show up on day 29 and it's supposed to be done on day 30, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars.
Right.
I wish I would have done I was supposed to have pendant lights above the island. Well, if you were here during the week when we were putting electrical in, you would have noticed that they're not there, and then it would have been no big deal. Now I got to pull out all the drywall. I got to run a line. I got to patch the drywall. I got to texture to the drywall. Then I got to repaint. That's an extra week and a half for me to get those in. That just cost you money. So check on your property all the time.
Yeah, that's good. I was thinking of the shower at Trailing Delilah.
Yeah. He did nothing wrong.
No.
But what he did do wrong is he didn't ask us. So, if your contractor is taking it upon themselves to just make design decisions, and you care about design, because some people don't, and that's fine. If anything, that's a service that's being provided.
Yeah, I would say that's a plus.
But I communicate in the beginning that is not a service that I am choosing to accept. That's not a service to me. That's a hindrance or a disservice. I want to be included on every design and decision. So.
Okay, so then you walk the property, you blue tape, you do all of that, and then you have to list it.
And then you got to list it. So, first and foremost, flipping is all about speed. Think about this. I'm going to tell you if you're a flipper or not. Can you drive fast? If the speed limit's 45, can you navigate everybody going 45 while you're doing 65? And here's why I ask you that question. Is, one, the risk is through the roof. If you crash, you're going to destroy minimum two $50,000 cars.
And it's your fault.
And it's your fault, okay? So you're able to operate under stressful circumstances.
High pressure.
The other thing is you're thinking ahead. The guy that gets in the most accidents is the guy that just cruise controls 45 all the time and isn't even in his car. Yeah. He's physically there, but he's mentally not. That's why I actually like driving fast, is I'm wildly alert. I'm paying attention to everything. So I'm thinking, do I have enough room to get ahead of the car to my right and not slam into the car in front of me? Because my ultimate goal is to get in front of the car that's in front of me. So I have to take into account the guy behind me and what speed he's going, how much room I've got over to get to the right, how much room I've got over to get to the next right so that I can get in front of the car that's in front of me at that moment, and then make sure that the car up there doesn't stop and close my hole that I needed to do in order to get over there to not screw the guy behind me after cutting him off. Yeah. You see how many decisions, and I could have rattled way more stuff happening there, that are going through somebody's mind under pressure and under high risk. If you operate that way, you're for the flipping business. If you don't operate that way, you're probably not ready for the flipping business. The reason I say that is the flipping business is high pressure and fast. You've got to be fast.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to make decisions quickly.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I know you've been talking about that a lot lately.
Yeah, I know. It's been on my mind so much. You got to be fast. It's what is a flip? Is a flip slow? If you're on a trampoline, bouncing, does somebody do a slow-mo backflip?
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, too, it's like this is kind of far off, but the buyers only have so many weekends that they're going to go out and look for houses, right?
Sorry, you said we got to the flipping point. I got off on a tangent there, but keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a house. They're like, oh, we're going to finish it on Friday. And then you're there on Thursday. It doesn't look like they're going to finish it on Friday. They're like, oh, we'll do it Monday. You're missing a whole weekend that maybe your buyer can't go out the next weekend.
Right.
So they're looking this weekend for their house, and your house isn't ready.
Yep. And then they either go find another home, or assuming that they don't go find another home, and they still like your home, you just bought yourself another week.
Yep.
Because even if you're done on Monday, they don't get to go see it till the next Friday.
Yep.
So you just bought yourself 5 or 6 days worth of interest. So think what that really costs. Yeah. I wish everybody understood how valuable the time component is of this business. It's the most important important component.
Yeah.
You could literally think about this. You could make $1,000 a house. That's nothing, right? But if you could flip them in a week because of speed, you could crush it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
So time is the most important thing.
Yeah.
That's why you got to have so much profit, because then you're going to fuck up in the time department, which the profit will allow you to fuck up, and you can give some back because of the money you spent on the time. If you could perfect the flipping component, you could do razor-thin margins. Yeah. All right, so what do I do? Professional photos, knick-knack staging, all those things are important to me. Clean your windows. Make sure light bulbs are all the same color. Don't put in yellow, amber light bulbs and a bright blue LED light in your new chandelier. Make sure that your blacks all match, your chromes all match, your stainless steel colors all match. Don't put a black faucet next to a chrome air gap cover. Yeah. Go through and touch the house. Yeah. Touch it. The thing is, and I'm not even blaming the contractors for this. They don't touch it. They touch as much as they can. But you need to go through and play with it. Open the cabinet doors. You'll sense if the cabinet hardware is loose. If it's loose on one door, it's probably loose on 10. Okay, you open it up. The number one thing that contractors love to forget, I swear to God, when they go to school, they teach them how to forget this one item so that when they go into the real world, they forget it. Yeah. Is the outlet cover over the microwave outlet. Oh, okay. So you always open the upper outlet cover over the microwave. And make sure that the outlet cover's there. Yeah. Underneath the sink. Run the sink. Run all of your plumbing. Here's the thing: is you got to think like a buyer. Buyers don't just walk through and don't touch anything.
No, they touch everything.
They touch everything. Now, if they walk in and they pull a cabinet handle and the door falls off, like, holy shit, they're going to be like, I don't even want to buy this house. If that just happened, what does the rest look like? Right, okay? Right. You're sending a message. The other thing is that at the one of the best spots, I got a million of these little tricks. I wish we could have done a Q&A. Wherever the lockbox is likely going to be, that space needs to be very clean. Generally speaking, the electronic lockbox for the realtors is going to be on the front door. There's a moment there's a passing of time that takes place when you press the enter button. The lockbox has to communicate with your phone, has to read your face.
It's where time stands still. Right. Yeah.
There's about 30, 45 seconds where nobody's talking and everybody's just looking around. They're looking at your address numbers. They're looking at your doorbell. They're looking at your paint on your front door. They're looking at the concrete in front of the front door. They're looking at the light. They're analyzing all of that. If that space looks like shit, that's the very first impression of the home that you're providing them or you're presenting them. So I'm always a nut about making sure that front space is super clean and put together. The other thing is when you're going to list professional photos, knick-knack staging, thief signs.
Well, I think
real
professional
cameras, fake
photos
cameras.
is the biggest
Professional photos are worth $1 million. You want to scream amateur? Go take some photos with your iPhone and put them up, or use the panoramic view. That's how I got that house in Picola Ranch. Guy thought he was killing the game. He used his panoramic view on his phone. All I did was shrink it into like those the worst photos ever. All right, listing. What else? I like this department. Clean the shit out of it. Clean your windows. No weeds. Walk through the front yard and pick up all the debris and the rocks. Try this. If you're an experienced flipper, and you don't do this, try it and watch just how much shit is in there. How many screws, how many wire nuts, how many pieces of wire, how much cuts of tile, how much this, how many cigarette butts, how many water bottle caps. Go through within a 5-foot radius of your front door and just pick all the crap out of the rocks. I used to do it all the time. I swear to you, I'd pull out, I don't know, a gallon worth of shit.
Really?
Like I could fill
It's like, how does that happen? How does that get there?
Because they don't give a fuck about your house. The only person that's going to give a shit about your house is you.
Yeah.
That's what they don't. That's what these contractors. That's where they fail. But okay, now that you've got it, you've listed it, right? It's on the market. Now you got to sell it. If you get a few offers on it. Okay, put the photo of the most eye-catching thing in the front or on the first photo. Don't put the thing that you are most proud of, because nobody gives a shit about what you think. It's a very specific paradigm that you're looking. It's a very specific set of lens that you're looking through. So if you're really proud of how you open the floor plan, and the photo that demonstrates that is taken from very far back, when that photo comes out one by one on the MLS on someone's phone sent to them through email, they can't even see that it's and even if they did notice the open floor plan, in their mind, it has always been open. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't know what the before
They don't know what the before looked like. Okay? Whatever catches the most attention. And what is attention grabbing? Contrast.
Yeah.
Contrast. If it's a blown out white photo, that's not attention grabbing. If it's a super dull photo, it's not attention grabbing. Contrast. White and black. Or whatever your accent wall is. This with that.
I just think eye-catching. What catches your eye?
Well, I mean, it's very tough. It seems like a very subjective conversation. You know, I've had it a few times over here. Anyway, so pick the best photo for the front, okay? Now you start getting offers. I like to talk to every single agent that writes an offer on one of our homes. I want to qualify them, and here's how that conversation goes. Has your buyer seen the house?
Yeah.
If they don't say yes, I go, unfortunately, I don't accept anybody's offers unless they've seen the house. Yes, they've seen the house. Great. Are they in love with the house? Or is it just one that they kind of are settling on? Emotion is the biggest driver, period, for action. Emotion is the biggest driver, period, for action. It drives everything. That's why the housing market's so volatile, because it's all emotionally based. Someone walks in a home, they have to have it. They will move mountains. They will sell grandma to buy that house. Think about that. That's how powerful emotion is. Yeah. Okay? So you want that buyer. That's my point. So ask them, do they love it? Yeah. And listen for details. Oh, my gosh, they went to the side yard and they just said they could see their kids playing there. Or, oh, my gosh, they loved this or that or whatever it is. And then that's when you can say to yourself, I got a good buyer. Now, the second thing to do is I call the lender. And this one's a pretty simple conversation. Hey, Josh, Glenda Group Real Estate. One of your buyers have written an offer on one of my listings, and your pre-approval was attached.
And they don't answer or call back. Next.
And if they don't answer or call back quickly, next. Because if that's going to happen with
the whole deal,
and the buyer's agent's going to be trying to bang on them, and they're not going to be answering or calling back. I say, listen, let's just cut this to the chase. I don't want to hate you in 30 days, and I don't want you to hate me in 30 days. Can you close? Yes. What do they do for work? That was a big one I started asking during the pandemic. And you know what I was really asking is, like, as the pandemic, now what I'm saying is, you know, what do they do for work? Because, you know, in the pandemic, if they were working valet, they may shut the whole economy down. So now I'm using the pandemic as a way to ask that question today without them going, well, I can't disclose that kind of information. If anything, it opened the gate. Well, okay, that was a logical question. I get it now. I get why he's asking it. And then I ask what they do. You know, they own they own a record label that they're just starting. And be like, okay,
Like, good for them.
Or they're a supervisor at the Mirage for housekeeping for the last 14 years. I'd be like, dude, W-2 income, 14 years? Yeah, where do I sign? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I always scrub the buyer to make sure that I got a good buyer. Mm-hmm. The last thing that I do is I bang on them for EMD. I don't change the status on the MLS until I get the EMD, because I don't want to lose marketing time. I can't tell you how many times these buyers, they're hot and heavy, drunk as can be. I call them drunken sailors. They're all fighting, and then they get the offer accepted on the house, and then the next morning they wake up and they sobered up, and they're like, shit, I overshot, and then they cancel. So having your property go in and out of escrow, in and out of ER status on the MLS, it's not good for the property, even if it's totally innocent. What you're doing is you're giving it a black eye, and the future buyers, why did it fall out?
Yeah.
And then if it falls out again, they're gonna be like, there's a problem with this house.
Yeah.
It keeps falling out. Well, what have you done? You've said that you're a limping calf, and now the wolves are gonna, seek you out and attack you and just beat the daylights out of you. Offer you $20,000-$40,000 under list.
Is that worded in your contract that basically you're not under contract until the EMD is deposited?
It is on my purchase contracts.
Yeah.
But not on my sell contracts.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I need to put that on the sell contract, on my sell counter. I do. This is not an effective agreement until earnest money is deposited. I do have something around earnest money. What I actually put on there is that in the event the buyer does not deposit earnest money, in the event the buyer does not deposit the earnest money, it shall be considered a material breach, and the seller is entitled to solicit new buyers and cancel the existing agreement. Mm-hmm. If you or someone you know is looking for their next luxury vehicle, you need to go check out Karma of Las Vegas with Tobin Motor Cars. Powered by electricity, Karma delivers a combination of intelligent performance, industry-leading digital architecture, and a connected vehicle technology experience for an unparalleled driving experience. I would know because I own one. From the moment you set foot on the dealership floor, you will enjoy white glove service. The luxury store on West Sahara is women-owned and has been supporting Southern Nevada for over 30 years. To learn more, visit TobinMotorCars.com. Again, that's TobinMotorCars.com, or call 702-932-7100.
Hey, I wanted to take a moment to tell you about BATTLEBORN Injury Lawyers. They handle personal injury, which covers everything from auto accidents to wrongful death. You never know when something bad will happen to you or your family. Be smart about it and make sure that you have a resource to contact right away if you should ever need it. Put Matt's number in your phone now. He will not let you down. It's 702-570-9000.
All right, and then when you close, now you got to close. Make sure you turn off all your utilities. Make sure your pool guy isn't still cleaning the house for the new owner. Cancel insurance. Make sure that you calculate your profit correctly. Mm-hmm. It's. I think people. I think I made. No. What if you think you made and then you made more? Now you're not paying taxes on money that you made. That's illegal. Or you didn't make as much as you think. Mm-hmm. And now you're paying taxes on money that you shouldn't.
You thought you made.
You didn't. Right, but you didn't. So make sure that your profit is accurately calculated.
Yeah, you got to keep track of all your receipts, because $50 here, $50 there, $50.
Yeah, it all adds up.
It all adds up.
All adds up. And good luck. No, there's so much stuff. I wish I could go through and really just rattle off every experience I've ever had. The other thing that I would do, and I don't know if I've said this, is don't talk to the neighbors. You know what would have been a cool version of this episode? Is where you just tell the craziest flip stories I've got. Right? Like there was this one where these squatters wouldn't leave, so we got on the roof and dropped dry ice bombs down into the chimney.
What? I didn't know about this.
You drop them. It was your brother and Ryan, and you drop dry ice bombs.
So that you put dry ice in a water bottle?
Shake it up, drop it down the chimney, and wait. And then it just sounds like someone's in the house shooting the house up. You'll get that squatter out of there in about 5 seconds.
Oh my God.
The other thing is that you you turn off all the breakers. Middle of summer, 108 degrees. You just walk up to the side of the house, turn all the breakers off. Let the house, it just starts to cook. You sit out front, and you can just watch. All of a sudden, everybody starts to walk outside. It's like, oh, hey, guys. Oh. Okay, that's the other one. Last one is take the front door off.
Oh, yeah, you did do that. Yeah. I remember that one.
Take the front door off and strap it to the top of the vehicle and get it out of there. And I don't know where you find a front door that fast.
Yeah.
So now they have no front door. That one worked very well. The other thing is you want to fuck with them, drop a 40-yard dumpster in front of their driveway where their cars are. They can't back out. They'll call you all of a sudden. They'll call you. Never talk to the neighbors. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because they tell you only bad shit. They never walk over and go, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they were the greatest neighbors, and their kids were just so sweet. If that was the case, they wouldn't even talk to you, but they love to tell you all the bad.
Yeah, the drama.
So here I am, $17,000 into a $40,000 renovation. I'm out at Piccoli Ranch, single-story, 3-car garage in a cul-de-sac with a pool and a spa, and I think I actually killed it on the buy of this house. Neighbor walks up to me and goes, do you know what happened in that house? I go, no, I don't, but what's up? Because I was still amateur. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck, leave me alone.
Well, you don't want to know.
I don't want to know. But I said, no, what happened? She goes, oh, well, let me tell you. The husband killed the wife, put her in a freezer for 3 years, and came back and forth from Vietnam to check to make sure that the power was still on, so the body was still frozen, and then eventually tried to move the body, panicked, didn't know what to do, so called the police department and said, hey, I'm going to go and dispose of myself in the master bathroom. Shower, will you do a wellness check? My wife is frozen. I'll be dead here. Send the cops. I'm like, excuse me? Okay, worst part is I go to Google because I'm like, there's no way this wasn't in the news. I type in the first 4 letters of... I typed in the number and then the first few letters of the address, and then it auto-populates for me, murder-suicide. I click it. I click the link of the house or the article. It's my fucking house with the coroner in front of it. So never talk to the neighbors. What else?
Not that you're obligated to tell a buyer that.
You're not obligated to tell a buyer if somebody died in the house. You are obligated to tell the buyer in the event that the house killed them. Mm-hmm. So if I'm sitting here and this beam falls down and hits me and kills me, that I am now obligated to tell them that the house killed me.
Yeah.
If I just die in the home. If you think about that, it's such a logical statement because could you imagine if you had to disclose every time somebody died in the house? Like, and then people would be like all weird about buying them. Right. There'd be like no houses to buy.
Well, yeah, and in Las Vegas, all the houses are newer, so that's not like, I wouldn't say it's as common as it would be in like New York, where there's like houses that are 150 years old. Like, of course someone's probably died in it.
Right. All right, another crazy story. Buyer's agent goes to do the walkthrough.
Which is done like 2 days before it closes?
2 or 3 days before it closes. Goes to do the walkthrough. Says that the key doesn't work. I'm like, what the hell? What do you mean the key doesn't work? And I want it to close Monday. Mm-hmm. So like a true boss, I get out of my seat on a Sunday night and I go and see why the key doesn't work. So it was dark, thankfully. So I'm he didn't jump the walls and stuff, but I'm jumping the walls. I'm checking all the windows, and I just start looking inside. I'm like, what the fuck? I see there's a huge cutout of carpet in the middle of the living room. I'm like, where'd the fucking carpet go? So I eventually just have to...
Because this is a
completely done flip getting ready to be sold. Beautiful flip.
Like, been under contract, closing on Monday.
Right. So I break in, and what they'll do is there's 2 screws on the deadbolt. Mm-hmm. They'll unscrew each screw about 1/4 of an inch. And then when the person with the key goes to turn it, the latch hits the screws, and it won't turn. So it's a cool trick that I learned. Actually, that was pretty creative. They ripped out all of my faucets. They ripped out all of my appliances. They took all of my light fixtures, and they cut my carpet to put it all into it. And they rolled it up, and they threw it over the back wall and drove off. And this is how incredible I am. The buyer, at noon the next day, walked in, and I said, I just want to be honest and tell you what happened. But he didn't even know the difference. Mm-hmm. I put back everything. Mm-hmm. I dried everything out. I replaced the carpet. I found the last chandelier that I already had at Lamps Plus. Replaced all the plumbing. Dried everything up. Explained everything to him, and he's like, I don't even know if he believed me. But in all that, in that amount of time, we rebuilt that whole house.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was the worst. Usually it's just appliances, AC,
Yeah.
or pool equipment. I've never had anybody like
light
they took
fixtures,
the
the plumbing
dome
fixtures,
lights.
yeah.
They like took the cabinet hardware. They took everything. Like, I'm surprised they weren't trying to take the cabinets. All right, what else?
I mean, I think that was good.
All right, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. If you have any more flip questions, please feel free to contact myself.
Yeah.
Josh Galindo, 702-300-8484. You can visit our website, galindogrouprealestate.com, and schedule a time to sit down, and we'll shoot the shit on the flipping game.
Or even Instagram. You check that.
Instagram.
Galindo Group RE.
Yeah. You know what I tell people now when they're like, "Can I get a business card?" I'm like, just Google Josh Galindo. It's almost
You're so cool.
It's just so old school. If I wanted to find Krystal Galindo, I'd go to Google and I'd type in Krystal Galindo Las Vegas. And in about 10 seconds, I'd have your phone number.
Yeah.
Or I'd have your Instagram. I'd have something that I could get a hold of you with.
You wouldn't have my phone number, but
or I say, listen, let me get your phone. And I type. When I get a business card, I take it, I type in all their information, I hand it back to them. I'm like, I don't want to waste it.
you know what I do? I take a picture of it.
Do you?
Yeah, so in case I lose it.
Okay. I could play that game too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, bub. I love you.
Okay, I love you. Good job.
You too.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed the show, please rate, subscribe, and share our podcast. You can also connect with us on social media or at galindogrouprealestate.com.
Until next time, thanks again for listening.